Hello everybody, it's Inobaham. Welcome to another episode of Redstone Fundamentals. Hi. In this episode we are going to be talking about levers and buttons and how they work and why we use each one and why you would choose buttons over levers or levers over buttons. And I want to show you a couple cool things I've learned about buttons recently. So before I spoil anything, why don't we just get right into it. All right, so we're going to start with buttons. So to construct a button, you either need a stone, a block of stone to make one stone button, or wood planks, any kind of planks, doesn't matter the wood type, and you will make a button of the same wood type. Stone buttons you can also find naturally generated in the world inside strongholds. Buttons can be made in two different materials, like I showed when I crafted them, either wood or stone. There is more than just aesthetic purposes to the differences. Mainly the stone button, when pressed, will give off a redstone signal for 1 second or 10 game ticks. The wood button, though, will give off a redstone signal for 1.5 seconds or 15 game ticks. So I use the wood button more often on doors because it gives me that extra half second to make sure that I actually make it through the door. I found that when I use stone buttons for doors that I'd get caught sometimes on the edge of a block behind the door, and then by the time I actually free myself and try and go through the door, I end up having the door slammed in my face. But with wood buttons, that never ever happens. So I want to try and demonstrate the difference between the two. So I'm going to try and press them both at nearly the same time, and you'll see that this one will last longer. So there you go. You can see that the wood button does last half a second longer. Redstone buttons give off a redstone signal of 15. If you look on the right hand side of the screen, right in the middle, you'll see where it says targeted block 112 56 15. Underneath that, 4 lines underneath, it says power 0. So right now the redstone signal is dead. There is no signal. If I press the button and go back to that first redstone dust, you'll see that it changes from 0 to 15. So redstone buttons do give off a full redstone signal. Mobs cannot interact with buttons, although there is 2 exceptions. One is a skeleton and the other is a pillager. When either one of them shoots an arrow and hits the wood button, that button will remain pressed as long as the arrow is in the game. If the arrow ever despawns, then the button will return to normal and the redstone will be depowered. The other way you can do that is with a dispenser. If we had arrows in a dispenser and something triggered that to shoot an arrow into the button to allow that button to stay on for just a little bit longer than normal, then that is another way that you can activate a button. But with mobs, you only have the skeleton and the pillagers. With stone buttons, it does not work. The arrow still sticks into the button, but because it's a stone button, it won't cause the button to press and activate any redstone signal at all. Buttons will power the blocks in each direction, as you can see here, including the block below it, but not the block above it. So if we were to press this button, you'll see that all 5 of these redstones turn on, but this one up here does not. The button is one of only a few redstone devices that you can place on every single side of a block, including the underside, the other one being the lever. You cannot place things like comparators or redstone dust or repeaters on the bottom side of blocks, but buttons and levers you can. So that's one thing to note, is that you can actually activate redstone on the top of a block by placing the button on the bottom of the block. A wood button can be used as fuel in a furnace to cook or smelt items. Next, we'll talk about the lever. The lever is very similar to the button in many ways, but in one very obvious way, it is very different. The lever, unlike the button, which will give off a monostable or a temporary redstone power signal, the lever, as soon as it is activated, will give off a permanent signal as long as the lever stays activated. As soon as it is turned off, then that signal will deactivate. To construct a lever, all you need is a stick and a cobblestone. For some weird reason, my OCD really doesn't like this, but you have to put them in the opposite order of how they turn out. You cannot make a lever like this. For some reason, they make it where you have to do it upside down. If anyone has an answer for this, please tell me why this is. My OCD hurts. Similar to the button, the lever can be placed, as you can see, on every single side of a block, including underneath. Very similar to the button, the lever powers the same blocks as the button does. So same thing, all four blocks around it, including the block below it, and the same as with the button, it does not power the block above it. All right, in previous episodes, I have talked about the difference between soft powering a block and hard powering a block, and I want to demonstrate that difference now. The button does the same thing as the lever, where if it is placed on a block, it will hard power the block, and the difference being that, as you can see, this redstone dust is being powered because this block is hard powered, and you know this block is powered because this redstone torch is off. Now, if I was to change this and put dust here and the lever here, if I turn this on, it is still powering the block because the redstone torch is off, but it's soft powering the block, which is why this redstone dust is not being powered. So that's one main difference. If you're wanting this block to pass the redstone signal on, you will need to hard power the block. And the way to do that is to place the lever on the block itself, not leading redstone dust into the block. And if you place the lever on the block itself, it will hard power it, which will allow that redstone dust to receive power and pass it on wherever it is that you need it to go. So one thing I also wanted to demonstrate was that how to tell the difference between a lever being powered and unpowered simply by looking at the lever. So what I have here is just a few blocks, and I wanted to demonstrate a couple of things. One is that when you place a lever, the handle always faces you. So I'll demonstrate that right now. So if I place a lever here, the handle faces me. And if I place one on this side, the handle faces me again. Now, both of these are in the unpowered state, but if you look at them this way, they're in completely different directions. So that can be confusing. And I use this situation in my wheat farm, where I have powered rails on top of these blocks, and I power them with levers. And if I was underneath and just looking at them, there's no way for me to tell with the direction of the handle whether they're on or not. And same thing on the edge of the block this way. As long as I'm facing the block, the handle will face me. So the way you tell if a lever is on or not is whenever you turn a lever on, there is this little animation that happens anytime it is powered. This little bit of red, almost like redstone dust, smoke type of thing. That is the only way you can tell if a lever is activated or not. So these two are facing the same direction now. So you could almost assume that they are both in the same state, but in fact, this one is powered, as you can see the animation, and this one is unpowered because there is no redstone animation. One thing I forgot to mention about levers is they do naturally generate in the world. You can find them in jungle temples as part of a puzzle that's on the wall where there's 3 of them, and you have to turn on or off the right ones in order to unlock something in the jungle temple. And they also can spawn or generate in the world in woodland mansions as well. So both buttons and levers can be removed by using either tools or no tools, but they can also be removed by either them being pushed by a piston, which this should actually be turned off, and we'll move the button here, with either pistons trying to move them or pistons trying to move the block that they're sitting on. So we will try and move the button right now, which it breaks, and we can do the same thing with the lever. If the piston tries to move the lever, it will break that item. And same thing if you try and move the block that the items are sitting on, same thing, they will both break. They will also break if running water or lava runs into them. That will also break both the button and the lever. Both the button and the lever also follow the same rules as the redstone torch from the previous episode, where you cannot place them on these blocks here. You can still place them on the blocks, the last 4 here, where you can place them on the back of upright steps. You can place it on the back of open trapdoors. You can place them on the sides of composters. You can also place them on doors. Now the doors are interesting because Either way, if the door is open or closed, you can stick a button or a lever on the door. So it works in this case, and if you open the door, it will work as well. You can place it on this side of the door. However, just like the redstone torches, as soon as the door is either opened or closed, that lever or button will break. One difference between the lever and button and the redstone torches is the redstone torches will sit on these blocks here. However, buttons or levers will not. That is one main difference. All right, everybody, that's it for the episode today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today. I know buttons and levers aren't exactly the most exciting part of Minecraft, but they are very essential to a lot of the redstone components that we use so frequently in Minecraft that I wanted to just explain them, make sure everyone has a good fundamental understanding of how they work, and show some interesting things like the arrows with the buttons. That's something I have learned recently that I wanted to share with you. But anyways, I hope you liked it, and if you did, feel free to smash that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and click that little bell icon so you can be notified when I post more videos, and even more exciting videos than this one. Thank you, and I will see you in the next episode.